Today we're reviewing the 2021 Ragley Bigwig. Yesterday I rode the Ragley Big Al, the aluminum version of this frame. And last night I took all the parts off and put them on here. And now we're going to do a true back-to-back. So this is the start of the battle of steel versus aluminum. And when I weighed this one came in at 31.5 pounds. There is one difference between the two, and that is the headset. This is a 12 millimeter cup right here, whereas the Big Al had a zero stack headset, which means just that, it adds zero stack. So the front of this is actually 12 millimeters higher, which results in a half a degree slacker. We're splitting hairs at this point though, but other than that, every single part, the tire pressure, the fork, every single part is identical. So today we're going to review the Bigwig, and then in an upcoming video I'm going to compare the two and see how aluminum feels versus steel. Today's all about the Bigwig and how it rides. It's a pretty good climber. It's a little bit sluggish, a little bit heavy. I do want a steeper seat angle, but it gets me there. But I am noticeably more tired than on the lighter bikes, like the Big Al, but not nearly as tired as the heavy bikes, like the Hanzo ESD, the RSD RS291, or the Marin Elroy. So it's kind of right in the middle. Not bad for a steel bike, but the lighter bikes are way zippier. This bike does well on tight, twisty, technical, rocky, ledgy climbs. Real easy to balance. I'm not fighting it anywhere. All right, we're back in my secret rock roll. This is a good way to test the extremes and how this does when pointed super steep downhill. Real comfortable descending position. Does really well picking its line up here. Last punch. All right, now it's time to play. Really like the body position on this bike. It just feels so controlled. You can't see because it's a GoPro, and a GoPro erases everything. There's a lot of chunk through here. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Thanks. Have a good day. Oh, thank you. You guys can come on through. Howdy.
Hi.
Sedona's getting busy if you haven't noticed in my reviews. Yeah, this is just a great hardtail experience. Rides really good. Nice feeling steel frame. Reminds me a lot of the Hanzo ESD. Yeah. Really fun. I find myself kind of hanging back and chilling on this bike a little bit. Doesn't have that attitude where it just wants to push it and charge. A little bit lazier attitude, just kind of wants to hang out and have fun. It doesn't always complete all of its homework. Not the best student, but it likes to have fun. Yeah, you feel the weight. It's kind of missing some of that excitement that a really good hardtail has. That's fun though. Man, it likes to pop. Feels quite planted when you want it to be, but when you want to pop around and play, it'll do it right there with you. Pretty surprising. Most 435 chainstay bikes are a handful when you want to play. They just want to stay glued to the ground. Thank you so much. I'm all alone. Wow, busy day. How you guys doing? Thank you. I'm all alone. Have a great day. Super nice hikers today. Yeah, real comfortable frame. This is up there with those nice steel comfy frames. They mute those micro vibrations that are harsh on stiffer frames. I'll take this frame feel over the Chromag frame feel any day. Fun bike. Yeah, great bike. It's happier when it gets steeper. It's not quite as exciting and energetic as the Big Al. This is a real comfortable frame. So there's a couple other very small differences with the Big Al. One of them is the 3-finger bridge, and you can see that bridge. They took the inner piece of metal and pushed it in and welded it. I think that looks really cool. And the dropper routing goes through there. And then the dropper's external on the down tube. On the Big Al, it popped out the front and went internal in the down tube. Both work just fine, but being a steel frame, it makes sense they didn't want a whole bunch of internal routing. That just lets more muck and water and stuff get in there. This uses a triple butted tube set. Butting is where they scrape away the insides of the tube, because tubes have to be thicker here at the joints, but not as strong in here. So they remove material on the inside of the tube. That's what butting means. And the more butting it has, single butted, double butted, triple butted, quad butted, is how much they've scraped away in there. More butting makes a lighter tube set for the same size outer diameter. This has flattened seat stays, just like the Hanzo ESD. I don't know if you can see it. They're flattened right there, right in the middle. That allows them to flex more this way, but be stiff side to side. I really like that idea. Production Privy does something similar in their seat stays, which is pretty interesting, but I've never ridden one of those. But I do think it makes a difference on these steel frames. Pretty cool that they incorporated that. All right, the party's not over. That was just halftime. This bike should not manual as well as it does. So fun. It's fun. It's got a great balance of playfulness and smashiness, where you can just turn off your brain and smash through stuff. Or you can look for every little option to pop off of. What this frame doesn't have is a zippy acceleration, energetic pedaling feeling. Kind of missing that. But it's got great traction, real confident, sending down steep, chunky black diamond terrain, real confident. It kind of begs you to let off the brakes and see what happens, and it stays in control. All right, this is one of my favorite sections. Hopefully there's no hikers or horses. Oh, this bike wants to go so fast. Yeah, the faster you go, the happier this one is. It needs a little bit of help to overcome its weight a little bit. Hello.
Hey.
I'm all alone. What's that?
Looks like fun.
Super fun. Have a great day. Oh yeah. Man, this thing corners so well. The reach is a little bit smaller than some modern hardtails, about 1 centimeter smaller. At medium speeds like that back there, you just tuck it into your body and it feels really nice. Some people will want a slightly longer reach. If you're between sizes, consider sizing up, but take a look at the seat tube length to make sure you're not limiting yourself too much on dropper length. The last technical climb. I'm a little bit winded. That's a good time to test the bike. Totally controlled. Right up it. This thing has good balance. Just a great all-rounder. If you really like steel bikes, you want something that's not too radical on either end of the spectrum, but that's pretty good at almost everything, especially leaning toward the aggressive side. Definitely check out the Ragley Bigwig. There are a lot of bikes these days that are really specialized. They're kind of a one-trick pony. And it's hard to find a balance of a bike that does everything well and nothing really poorly. But I think Ragley's done a really good job with this. That frame definitely gives it a bit of a muted feel. Takes out some of the sting of all the rocks here. Yeah, for some reason, I just don't feel like charging the trail on this bike. I just feel like hanging out, moseying on down, having fun. It's a relaxed experience, but I'm not charging and flying. The bike doesn't have that attitude to make me want to just push. See how it bunny hops. It did it, but that was a little bit of a struggle. What's really amazing with these Ragley bikes are the price point that they come in at. So even though this is a nice, comfortable steel frame, don't be confusing it with a full suspension. It's nothing like a full suspension, which is a good thing. But these compliant frames don't make you just float on a cloud and make you not feel a single bump. You're still gonna feel them. It just takes out those micro vibrations. The ones that fatigue you over time, make you tired. Here we go. Let's finish up this ride. This bike is so quiet. Man, it likes to charge, and it's really in control when it does. Okay, here's a 3-foot huck to flat. Oh. Whew. I don't care how real steel is, that still hurts on a hardtail. This thing is a little bit more of a smasher than its aluminum counterpart. This bike's a little bit asleep until it picks up speed. Then it wakes up, comes alive. It's weird. I don't feel like pushing it, but when I do push it, it wakes up. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll push it a little more. Man, someone took out my favorite route that was in there. That was a perfect little jump. This thing handles like a dream. Had 0 sketchy moments. The stack is nice and tall. Not too slack, not too steep. What a bike. So there it is, the 2021 Ragley Bigwig. A beautiful chromoly steel frame with a really nice ride characteristic and fantastic geometry. I don't know how they did it, but they found the perfect balance between playfulness in these chainstays where you can still pop, manual, bunny hop. It feels so much shorter than it is when you go to pop and manual, but it feels long and planted on the downs. It's really a great balance. I normally like 415, 420 mil chainstays, but I wouldn't want them any shorter on this because it does it so well. It's really wild how well they did that. So bravo, Ragley. Reach on a size medium's a 440. That's a centimeter shorter than most. But with a 50 mil stem, it felt right. And if this was any longer, you would definitely need a steeper seat tube. And that's one thing I'd like to see changed in the future. I'd like to see a steeper seat tube, at least 2 degrees. It would just give you a more relaxed, shorter cockpit when climbing. And it'd be a little bit more eager to climb up stuff. And when you're on a little bit heavier bike like these, like a lot of steel bikes, having an eager climbing geometry helps you push through that stuff. In this, I just kind of wanted to sit back and be lazy and just spin and get there when I got there. I also think it'd be cool to shorten this 2 inches and be able to run an even longer dropper. This is serving 0 purpose, but I know that's kind of Ragley's look, and a lot of people are sticking to that look, and a lot of people love it. I think it's non-functional. The front triangle's short anyway. You might as well shorten that and bring it down, but that's just me. We're nitpicking here. One other thing on both Ragleys, the paint has chipped a little bit. It's not quite as robust as I'd like to see. And when you consider the price point that these are in, that's not a huge surprise. What is a huge surprise is how well these ride for how cheap they are. Ragley's done a really good job getting great riding bikes at really great price points. And I applaud them for having an aluminum version and a steel version of all of their bikes. It's a little bit confusing on their website. It'd be nice if they kind of had a comparison or something that said, are you looking for a lighter aluminum version of this? Check out the Big Al. Because I don't think a lot of people know they have an aluminum one and a steel one in every model. The bike felt great with the 140 fork. I'm running a 2.6 Terravale Kessel up front. and a 2.4 in the back. It's not a great rear tire for climbs especially, but it does quite well on the downhills. On the front, it feels really good. And I'm on Hunt Enduro Wide 29 wheels, which feel great. I've got a Tannis insert in the rear. I'm not totally sold on those. I'm preferring Cushcore at the moment, but I'll talk about that more in a future video. All right, so let's wrap it up on this bike. Climbing, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's not super energetic. The climbing position feels a little bit long with that slacker seat tube angle, but it does the job. It gets up the trail just fine. And even when it's technical and hard to kind of pick your line, it stays really well balanced. So it gets a lot of good ratings there, but it's just not an energetic climber, and it's a little bit lethargic on the climbs. Cornering, 10 out of 10. This thing feels so good. Descending, 9.8 out of 10. It is awesome. Such a good descender. If it was a little bit longer, it'd be a little bit more confident in really steep stuff, like a centimeter longer reach, but we're splitting hairs here. This descends extremely well. Playfulness, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. It's missing some of that energetic pop, but once you get up to speed and it's cruising, it'll pop off of things so well, and it's so controlled and so predictable. Feels good in the air. It's fun to play. But also, if you're not a playful person and you like to stay glued to the ground, it feels great with that longer chainstay. They've somehow managed to capture the magic of a short chainstay and a long chainstay all in one. And that's really special. Usually I prefer one or the other. I wouldn't touch the chainstay at all on this. Ragley, you've done an awesome job on this bike. Stay tuned, everybody, for the comparison where I compare the Bigwig to the Big Al, which are the identical bikes, identical geo, just one's aluminum and one's steel, so we can compare how does steel feel compared to aluminum. Thank you, Ragley, for sending me both these frames to be able to compare, because I've really been curious. I've never had the same exact bike back to back, day after day, to compare them on the same exact trail with the same exact components. If you need custom bike advice and you're having a hard time deciding on which hardtail or full suspension is perfect for your riding, I offer custom bike consultation through Patreon. I've got a link to that service in the description below. A lot of people have saved thousands of dollars. I've steered them away from terrible bike decisions for where they live, and there have been a lot of happy customers using that service. If you don't need that service, that's why I offer these free reviews, so that you can learn from them and make your own decisions. Thanks for watching. There's a party in the mountains, and you're invited.